we get started with today's episode, I would like to quickly read you our podcast disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not to substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professional. You should always speak with your physician or other healthcare professionals before doing any fasting, changing your diet in any way, taking or adjusting any medications or supplements, or adopting any treatment plan for a health problem. The use of any other products or services purchased by you as a result of this podcast does not create a healthcare provider-patient relationship between you and any of the experts affiliated with this podcast. Any information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, and now we'll get started with today's episode.
Welcome back to another bite-sized episode of the Fasting Method podcast. This is Dr. Terri Lance. And I wanted to share with you some thoughts today about a topic that I have been discussing a lot lately within the fasting method community and with the clients that I'm working with. And this topic touches on a lot of other things that we talk about, but I will try to kind of streamline it to make it make sense here. The question comes up often, what should I do if I have a hard time stopping eating once I've started eating? For example, I did a 42-hour fast and I started to eat my meal and I just kept eating. Or I did a 24-hour fast and I'm having a hard time stopping. One of the things I encourage everyone to work on is shifting this paradigm in your mind, and that is to set it up so that you recognize a meal is a meal is a meal. It doesn't matter which meal it is. It doesn't matter if it's the meal that I'm using to break a fast. It doesn't matter if it's the meal I'm having before I start my fast, or if it's one somewhere in between. A meal is a meal is a meal. Now for me, that means I have a certain size portion of protein. I have a side vegetable, or maybe even 2 side vegetables and some healthy fats. That's a meal. I don't have to guess how much should I eat today? How much should I eat because it's this meal right after my fast, or it's this meal before I'm gonna fast? It is a meal. And that's what I want to start getting in my mind. I eat a meal at a scheduled meal time. There isn't a debate about enough or too much, because a meal is a meal is a meal. Now, for many of us, this requires us to think a little bit about, why am I having this challenge of wanting to continue eating? And why do I not have a signal that tells me just to stop? And there are many reasons. But one of the things I encourage everyone to recognize is that our biological system really isn't tailored to our current food availability. It was very well tailored to when we had scarcity of food. And every time that you had food, you had enough and you were satisfied for as long as you could be satisfied. But then your brain had a desire, a drive built in to encourage you to go seek food, to get your next meal. Now, unfortunately, this might have been 3 or 4 days from your last meal, or 2 weeks from your last meal. So this desire, this drive to eat needed to be strong to make sure that you sought out your next meal. This was a survival strategy. Fast forward to now, 2023, most of us have so much food available. We have a refrigerator full. We have a deep freezer full. We might even have a second refrigerator full. We have apps that we can order food. We can order groceries. We can go to the grocery store. We can go to a restaurant. It is a nonstop supply of food. So we have this brain mechanism, this drive that tells us, to be seeking food so that we survive. But we're in an environment where we have so much food available all around us. And unfortunately, much of it is highly palatable. And so this drive is over applied now. So again, let's go back to, I just did a 24-hour fast and I'm sitting down to that meal. And I remember Terri saying, a meal is a meal is a meal. But there's something in my brain saying, hey, we didn't eat for a while. That feels scary. Let's eat more. Or I'm eating my second meal of the day and I'm going to fast tomorrow. That drive in the brain says, hey, there's not going to be any food tomorrow. We need to stock up. We need to put in some extra. We need to kind of pre-game this, put in extra amount of food to get us through that time. Again, this is a drive based on old supply and demand, but we are in a place of very different supply and demand. So I want to encourage you to work on recognizing this as a drive. You are not broken. There's not something wrong with you that you have this desire to eat more, to get ready for your fast, or to eat more as you're coming out of a fast, but instead to recognize, I only want to put in the right amount of material for the job that's going to be done. And I always share this analogy in this when I'm talking about this. It's as if you were building a cottage. Now, if I had lakefront property and I wanted to build a 1,200 square foot cottage, I'm going to have to order supplies. So I order some builders to come in and bring supplies. Now, do I want them to bring enough materials to build a 1,200 square foot cottage? Because that's what I have planned. Or do I want them to bring in enough supplies to build a 2,400 square foot cottage? That's excess. That's more than what I need. And if they bring all of that excess, I'm going to have to do something with it. Plus, I'm going to have to pay for it. And I didn't get a permit for a 2,400 square foot cottage. So this is too much. So I don't want to go into a fast with too many supplies, too much fuel, too much food. So again, I think it's important just to recognize I want the right amount of fuel available in my body. And there's new fuel that I'm putting in with this meal. And then there's all this stored fuel on my body that's called body fat. And other materials that if I do a longer fast, my body will break down some of the old junk and will kind of recycle or repurpose it. So I don't need to order an abundance of materials. I want just the right amount. So think of that cottage and think of that statement, a meal is a meal is a meal. We all know, if you've read any of the books from our community, if you've listened to any of the videos, if you've listened to the podcast, you know your body has access to fuel. Now your brain is going to tell you it doesn't, and that you need to replenish it. But again, that's old messaging. You have excess fuel that your body can use. If you don't have excess fuel that your body can use, you should not be fasting. If your body fat percentage is so low that you don't have excess fuel, you should not be doing fasting. And that's something that we always try to make clear. So really focus on this. I eat planned meals at meal times only, and I only eat what compromises a meal for me, knowing that 18 hours, 24 hours, 42 hours into this, my body will access other fuel when necessary. I hope that this has been helpful. I look forward to talking to you again soon, and I'll be back with another bite-sized episode.